capabilities beyond anything Angel 97 had attempted. The platform served as Sterling's mobile headquarters, its industrial facade concealing laboratories and workshops where experimental warfare technologies took shape beyond the reach of congressional oversight. She wore a tactical suit that represented 5 years of innovation compressed into 40 pounds of composite armor and integrated electronics. The suit's adaptive camouflage could render her invisible to thermal imaging. Its powered servos could multiply her physical capabilities tenfold, and its communications array could penetrate any electronic warfare environment humanity had devised. Tonight's mission would establish Phoenix's operational parameters while testing systems that officially didn't exist. 20 kilometers away, Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces held 4 CIA operatives in a facility that diplomatic channels couldn't reach and military strikes couldn't target without triggering regional war. Victoria's earpiece crackled with Sterling's voice. "Phoenix, satellite surveillance confirms guard rotations every 30 minutes. You have a 15-minute window between thermal sweeps." "Copy, beginning infiltration in 60 seconds." Victoria dove from the platform's edge, her suit's integrated propulsion system guiding her descent through darkness toward waters that reflected starlight like scattered diamonds. The Persian Gulf had swallowed secrets for millennia. Tonight it would witness the birth of warfare's next evolution. She hit the water with barely a splash, her suit's hydrodynamic profile cutting through the waves with mechanical precision. Underwater propulsion carried her toward the Iranian coastline, her heads-up display painting the sea floor in stark digital clarity. Schools of fish scattered from her passage, their primitive instincts recognizing something unprecedented moving through their ancient domain. At 2 kilometers from shore, Victoria surfaced silently, her suit's adaptive camouflage rendering her invisible against the dark water. Through advanced optics, she studied the target facility, a concrete fortress built into coastal cliffs, its defenses designed to repel conventional assault while maintaining diplomatic deniability. "Phoenix to control, target acquired, beginning final approach." Victoria activated her suit's climbing systems, mechanical appendages extending to grip the rocky cliff face with inhuman precision. She ascended through darkness like a mechanical spider, her movements calculated to avoid motion sensors and thermal cameras that swept the facility's perimeter. At the facility's outer wall, she paused to study guard patterns through electromagnetic imaging that revealed human heat signatures moving through the complex. 4 guards patrolled the perimeter, 3 more monitored security stations, and 2 supervised the holding cells where CIA operatives waited for rescue or execution. Victoria activated her suit's infiltration protocols, microscopic cutting tools slicing through reinforced concrete with surgical precision. The opening was barely large enough for her enhanced form, but sufficient to bypass every security system the Iranians had installed. Inside the facility, she moved through corridors with supernatural silence, her suit's sound-dampening systems eliminating every trace of mechanical noise. The CIA operatives were being held in a basement cell block, accessible only through corridors monitored by armed guards and electronic surveillance. Victoria studied the tactical situation through her suit's analysis systems, calculating approach vectors that would neutralize threats while preserving operational security. The guards were professional but predictable, their movements following patterns established by institutional training. She struck with mechanical precision, her suit's enhanced capabilities allowing her to disable security personnel without permanent injury. Each guard fell unconscious within seconds, their bodies carefully positioned to suggest equipment malfunction rather than infiltration. The cell block materialized from the darkness ahead, its reinforced doors secured by electronic locks that yielded to Victoria's infiltration systems. Behind the first door, she found CIA operative David Rodriguez, his face bearing evidence of interrogation techniques that diplomatic channels would protest, but never prevent. "Mr. Rodriguez, I'm here to extract you," Victoria whispered. Her voice filtered through electronic modulation that made identification impossible. Rodriguez stared at her mechanical form with the disbelief of someone who'd given up hope of rescue. "Who are you?" "Phoenix, can you walk?" Rodriguez nodded weakly, his professional training overriding questions about his rescuer's impossible capabilities. Victoria moved to the remaining cells, extracting 3 more operatives whose faces carried the weight of classified torture conducted beyond the reach of international oversight. "Phoenix to control, package secured. Beginning extraction in 90 seconds. Victoria guided her charges through corridors that had been cleared of obstacles, her suit's navigation systems calculating the optimal route to their extraction point. Behind them, unconscious guards would wake with no memory of the night's events, their confusion attributed to equipment failure rather than superhuman intervention. At the facility's outer wall, Victoria activated her suit's escape protocols. Grappling systems launched toward the oil platform offshore, their composite cables invisible to radar detection. One by one, she ferried the CIA operatives across 3 kilometers of dark water, her mechanical capabilities making the impossible routine. 2 hours after infiltration began, all 4 operatives sat safely aboard Sterling's platform, receiving medical attention for injuries that official channels would never acknowledge. Victoria stood apart from the group, her suit systems already analyzing lessons learned and tactical improvements for future operations. "Phoenix," Rodriguez called as she prepared to leave. "Who do we thank for this?" Victoria turned toward him, her suit's adaptive camouflage making her appear like a mechanical ghost against the platform's industrial lighting. "You don't thank anyone, Mr. Rodriguez. Tonight never happened." She dove from the platform's edge, disappearing into Gulf waters that would carry no trace of the night's events. Behind her, CIA operatives would return to lives that diplomatic channels had written off as acceptable losses. Sterling's medical team would treat their injuries, his transportation network would return them to safety, and his intelligence apparatus would ensure their rescue remained classified beyond congressional oversight. Phoenix had evolved beyond Angel 97's limitations, becoming something unprecedented in the history of warfare. A one-person special operations force capable of achieving objectives that institutions considered impossible. But with each mission, Victoria moved further from the woman who'd once believed in chains of command and official channels. The war continued, fought by someone who'd learned that serving justice sometimes required abandoning everything else, including the possibility of redemption. Senator Catherine Walsh stared at the classified intelligence briefing that would reshape her understanding of modern warfare. 6 months after closing the Angel 97 investigation, new evidence suggested something far more dangerous had emerged from the ashes of congressional oversight. "Colonel Hayes, are you telling this committee that Phoenix represents a completely different threat than Angel 97? Colonel Hayes shifted uncomfortably in the witness chair, her 20-year career having prepared her for many impossible conversations, but not this one. "Ma'am, Phoenix operates with capabilities that exceed anything we've seen in conventional special operations. The technology being deployed suggests funding and research that goes beyond black budget programs." Senator Walsh consulted her notes, each page representing intelligence assessments that painted Phoenix as something unprecedented in military history. "Colonel, our analysts suggest Phoenix has conducted 17 operations in the past 8 months, all involving American personnel in situations where official rescue was diplomatically or tactically impossible." "That's correct, ma'am. And in every case, Phoenix achieved objectives that conventional forces considered impossible." Hayes nodded grimly. "Ma'am, Phoenix isn't just conducting unauthorized operations. She's redefining what's tactically possible for a single operative. Senator Walsh leaned back in her chair, processing implications that would reshape congressional oversight of military operations. Colonel Hayes, do we have any intelligence regarding Phoenix's identity, funding sources, or operational base? Ma'am, Phoenix appears to operate from maritime platforms that don't appear on any official registry. The technology being deployed suggests industrial capabilities that exceed most national defense programs, and the operative's physical capabilities suggest enhancement technologies that officially don't exist. Senator Walsh opened a classified folder containing photographs that would haunt her political career. Satellite imagery showed a figure moving through Iranian territory with superhuman precision, tactical capabilities that defied every understanding of human limitation. Colonel Hayes, in your professional opinion, does Phoenix represent a threat to American national security? Hayes paused, her expression carrying the weight of moral complexity that had defined her military service. Ma'am, Phoenix has preserved approximately 300 American lives in situations where official channels couldn't or wouldn't authorize rescue operations. From a tactical perspective, she's the most effective special operations asset we've ever encountered. But she's operating without authorization, using technology we don't understand, funded by sources we can't identify. Yes, ma'am. Phoenix represents capabilities that exceed institutional oversight while serving objectives that align with American interests. She's simultaneously our greatest asset and our greatest security risk. Senator Walsh closed the classified folder, her political instincts struggling with intelligence assessments that offered no clear resolution. Colonel Hayes, what do you recommend? Ma'am, we have two options. We can attempt to identify and eliminate Phoenix, accepting that we'll be destroying someone who's saved more American lives than any official program. Or we can attempt to establish communication channels that might bring her capabilities under some form of institutional guidance. And if she refuses to cooperate? Hayes met Senator Walsh's gaze with the steady confidence of someone who'd learned to navigate institutional failure. Then, we pray, she continues serving American interests, because stopping her would require capabilities we don't possess. Senator Walsh dismissed Hayes with the growing understanding that Phoenix represented something beyond congressional oversight, a force that had evolved beyond institutional control while serving objectives that politicians couldn't publicly acknowledge. In classified hearing rooms across Washington, similar conversations were taking place as intelligence officials struggled to categorize threats that didn't fit conventional frameworks. Phoenix had become something unprecedented, a strategic asset that couldn't be controlled, funded, or eliminated through normal channels. The bureaucracy was learning what Victoria had discovered 3 years earlier. Sometimes serving justice required abandoning everything else, including the possibility of institutional redemption. Victoria stood in Sterling's Dubai laboratory, studying technical specifications that would define Phoenix's next evolutionary phase. The mechanical suit that had made her Persian Gulf operation possible hung from calibration equipment, its composite surfaces bearing microscopic damage from infiltration and extraction operations. Dr. Chen worked at diagnostic stations that analyzed every component of the suit's integrated systems, her expression carrying the focused intensity of someone pushing technological boundaries beyond known limits. Around them, Sterling's research team prepared improvements that would expand Phoenix's capabilities while addressing vulnerabilities revealed through operational testing. The suit performed within acceptable parameters, Chen reported, but sustained stress fractures that suggest we're approaching material limits. The enhanced strength systems are putting more strain on the composite framework than our models predicted. Victoria nodded, unsurprised by the analysis. Each Phoenix operation pushed her equipment beyond specifications established by conventional engineering, demanding innovations that existed at the intersection of physics and impossibility. "What's the solution?" Victoria asked. "Complete redesign. New materials, new power systems, new mechanical architecture. We're talking about technology that's 5 years ahead of anything currently deployed." Sterling joined them from his observation deck, carrying intelligence briefings that would reshape their operational parameters. "Victoria, we have a problem. Congressional investigators are asking questions about Persian Gulf operations. Someone is connecting Phoenix to resources that trace back to Sterling Defense Solutions." Victoria studied the intelligence assessments, each page representing bureaucratic curiosity that threatened their entire operation. How much do they know? They know Phoenix operates with industrial backing that exceeds black budget capabilities. They know the technology being deployed suggests research programs that don't appear in any official capacity. And they know someone is funding operations that serve American interests while operating beyond institutional oversight. Victoria moved to the laboratory's observation windows, watching Dubai's skyline stretch toward horizons that promised infinite complexity. 3 years of unauthorized warfare had taught her that serving justice required abandoning institutional frameworks that valued process over results. "Marcus, how many American soldiers are currently trapped in situations where official rescue is diplomatically impossible?" Sterling consulted his intelligence network, accessing classified assessments that painted human costs in stark detail. 17 confirmed cases across 4 theaters, approximately 50 personnel whose situations require intervention that official channels can't authorize. Then we continue. Phoenix operations proceed regardless of congressional curiosity. Dr. Chen looked up from her diagnostic equipment, her expression carrying professional concern mixed with admiration for Victoria's commitment. "Phoenix Suit Mark II will be ready for testing in 6 weeks. The new capabilities will make your Persian Gulf operation look conservative." Victoria smiled grimly as she returned her attention to Dubai's sprawling cityscape. "Good, because the next phase will require capabilities that make the impossible routine." Sterling's secure phone buzzed with encrypted communications from intelligence networks that monitored global crisis situations. Victoria listened to reports of American personnel trapped in situations that diplomatic channels couldn't resolve and military strikes couldn't address without triggering regional conflicts. "Victoria," Sterling said after reviewing the intelligence summaries, "we're approaching a decision point. Either Phoenix evolves beyond current limitations, or we accept that some Americans will remain beyond rescue." Victoria turned from the window, her reflection merging with Dubai's gleaming facade in the reinforced glass. "Then Phoenix evolves, whatever it takes." She walked back to the mechanical suit that had carried her through impossible missions, studying its battle-scarred surfaces with the professional appreciation of someone who understood the difference between serving institutions and serving justice. The suit represented 3 years of innovation driven by battlefield necessity, but Phoenix's next evolution would require abandoning even those limitations. Dr. Chen began development of Phoenix Mark II. Full capabilities, no restrictions, unlimited operational parameters. Chen nodded, already calculating engineering challenges that would push technology beyond known boundaries. "Victoria, the new suit will make you something unprecedented in military history. The capabilities we're discussing go beyond special operations into something entirely different." Victoria smiled as she prepared to leave Sterling's laboratory, her mind already focused on missions that would test Phoenix's evolving capabilities. "Good, because conventional warfare has failed every American currently waiting for rescue in situations that politicians consider acceptable losses." She walked toward the elevator that would carry her back to operational reality, leaving behind technical specifications and intelligence assessments for the kind of direct action that had defined her transformation from institutional soldier to freelance justice. The war continued, fought by someone who'd learned that serving humanity sometimes required becoming something inhuman. Lieutenant Commander Morrison sat in the CIA safe house in Kabul, staring at intelligence reports that defied every tactical doctrine he'd studied during 15 years of special operations. Across from him, agency analyst Jennifer Park spread classified photographs across a table that had witnessed too many impossible conversations. "Jake, I need you to look at these images and tell me what you see." Morrison studied the satellite photographs, each frame showing tactical scenarios that challenged his understanding of what single operatives could accomplish. Phoenix operations across 4 theaters, all involving American personnel in situations where conventional rescue was impossible. "I see someone with capabilities that exceed human limitations," Morrison said carefully. "The infiltration techniques, the extraction methodologies, the tactical precision, it's beyond anything I've encountered in 15 years of special operations." Park opened another classified folder, revealing technical assessments that painted Phoenix's equipment in stark detail. "Jake, our analysts believe Phoenix operates using enhancement technologies that officially don't exist. Powered exoskeletons, adaptive camouflage, integrated weapons systems. We're talking about science fiction made operational." Morrison leaned back in his chair, remembering that night in Afghanistan when Angel 97 had materialized from darkness to save his team. The voice had been different, but the tactical precision and moral certainty were identical, someone who'd learned to navigate institutional failure through direct action. "Jennifer, what does the agency want from me?" "We want you to make contact. Phoenix has conducted operations that serve American interests while operating beyond oversight. If we can establish communication channels, we might be able to coordinate our objectives." Morrison frowned, understanding the complexity of what Park was suggesting. "You want me to reach out to someone who doesn't officially exist, using channels that Congress has forbidden, to coordinate operations that violate every diplomatic protocol we've established." "Jake, Phoenix has preserved more American lives in 8 months than most official programs achieve in years. We're not talking about controlling her. We're talking about understanding how her objectives align with ours." Morrison studied the photographs again, each image representing tactical capabilities that made conventional special operations seem antiquated. "Jennifer, how do I contact someone who's essentially become a military ghost?" Park smiled grimly as she produced a secure communication device that bore no identifying markings. "Phoenix monitors emergency frequencies in crisis zones. If American personnel are in danger, she responds. We've isolated the communication protocols she uses and developed equipment that can reach her network." Morrison accepted the device, its weight-carrying implications that would reshape his understanding of modern warfare. "And if Phoenix doesn't want to be contacted?" "Then you'll learn firsthand what capabilities she possesses when someone threatens operational security." Morrison activated the device, its encrypted systems connecting to satellite networks that existed beyond congressional oversight. "Phoenix, this is Falcon 7, requesting communication for mutual operational benefit." Static answered him, then silence that stretched long enough to make Morrison question whether Phoenix's network was still monitoring emergency frequencies. "Falcon 7, this is Phoenix, I remember you." Morrison's breath caught. The voice was electronically modified, but something in its cadence reminded him of Angel 97 and Mountain Nights when impossible air support had materialized from darkness. "Phoenix, requesting face-to-face meeting to discuss coordination of objectives that serve American interests." A pause that lasted long enough for Morrison to wonder if he'd overplayed his hand. Falcon 7, are you speaking for official channels or personal conviction? Morrison looked at Park, understanding that his answer would define whatever relationship might develop with Phoenix. Personal conviction, Phoenix. Some missions require abandoning everything else. Coordinates incoming, Falcon 7. Come alone. Armed contact will be considered hostile. The transmission ended, leaving Morrison with GPS coordinates that pointed toward the Pakistani border and questions that would haunt him regardless of how the meeting concluded. Park gathered her classified materials, her expression carrying professional excitement mixed with institutional anxiety. Jake, you understand that this meeting doesn't officially exist. If something goes wrong, if Phoenix is compromised or hostile, the agency will deny any knowledge of contact attempts. Morrison stood and prepared his equipment, already calculating the tactical requirements for meeting someone whose capabilities exceeded conventional special operations. Jennifer, if Phoenix wanted to harm American interests, she's had 8 months and 17 opportunities to do significant damage. The fact that she saved lives instead of taking them suggests her moral compass aligns with ours, or suggests someone whose psychological profile we don't understand operating according to objectives we can't predict. Morrison smiled grimly as he prepared to leave the safe house. Then I guess I'll find out which interpretation is correct. He walked toward the door that would carry him back to operational reality, leaving behind classified assessments and intelligence theories for the kind of direct contact that had defined his military career. Somewhere in the mountains of Pakistan, Phoenix waited with capabilities that challenged every understanding of modern warfare. The conversation would either establish coordination between Phoenix and American interests, or reveal why some ghosts should remain buried. Victoria waited in the ruins of an ancient fortress carved into Pakistani mountainsides, her Phoenix Mark II suit rendering her invisible to thermal imaging, while providing 360-degree tactical awareness. The fortress had witnessed empires rise and fall across centuries of warfare. Tonight it would host a conversation that could reshape the relationship between individual justice and institutional oversight. Morrison's approach registered on her sensor network 30 minutes before visual contact, his movement patterns revealing professional competence mixed with appropriate caution. He came alone as requested, armed but not aggressive, his equipment suggesting someone prepared for diplomatic contact rather than tactical engagement. Victoria studied Morrison through electromagnetic imaging that revealed his biometric signature, stress levels, and weapons configuration. He carried standard special operations equipment, but no surveillance devices or communication systems that would compromise operational security. His pulse remained steady, his breathing controlled, someone who'd learned to manage fear through professional discipline. That's close enough, Falcon 7. Morrison stopped immediately, scanning the ruins for visual contact with someone whose voice seemed to emerge from the mountainside itself. Phoenix, I'm here for conversation, not confrontation. Victoria remained concealed within the fortress walls, her suit's adaptive camouflage making her invisible against ancient stonework. Falcon 7, why does the CIA want to establish contact with Phoenix? Morrison's expression shifted slightly, professional surprise mixing with grudging respect for Phoenix's intelligence capabilities. Phoenix, how did you know I represent agency interests? I know everything that matters about tonight's meeting. Jennifer Park authorized contact through emergency frequency monitoring. You're carrying encrypted communication equipment provided by CIA Technical Services, and your biometric signature matches personnel files for Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, currently assigned to Joint Special Operations with agency oversight. Morrison smiled grimly, understanding that Phoenix possessed intelligence capabilities that exceeded his wildest estimates. Phoenix, The agency recognizes that your operations serve American interests while achieving objectives that official channels can't authorize. We're hoping to establish coordination that benefits both our missions. Victoria moved through the fortress ruins with supernatural silence, her position shifting to maintain tactical advantage while allowing closer communication. Falcon 7. Coordination implies institutional oversight. Phoenix operates beyond institutional limitations because institutions prioritize process over results. Phoenix, what if coordination meant resource sharing rather than oversight? Intelligence networks, logistical support, operational planning, assistance rather than control. Victoria appeared from shadow like a mechanical ghost, her Mark II suit representing technological advancement that made her previous capabilities seem primitive. Morrison's breath caught as he studied her enhanced form, composite armor that adapted to environmental conditions, integrated weapon systems, sensor arrays that provided superhuman awareness. Falcon 7. Institutions calculate acceptable losses. Phoenix eliminates the need for such calculations by accepting missions that institutions won't authorize. Morrison stared at Phoenix's mechanical form, understanding that he was witnessing the future of individual warfare. Phoenix, how many American lives have you saved through unauthorized operations? 347 confirmed extractions. Approximately 800 coalition personnel whose situations were resolved through preventive intervention. Morrison felt his tactical worldview reshaping as he processed Phoenix's capabilities. And how many of those operations would have been authorized through official channels? None. Every intervention occurred in situations where institutional policy prohibited direct action. Victoria moved closer to Morrison, her suit systems analyzing his reactions while maintaining defensive postures that could eliminate threats in microseconds. Falcon 7. Why should Phoenix trust institutional coordination after 3 years of operating beyond institutional failure? Morrison met her mechanical gaze with the steady confidence of someone who'd learned to navigate moral complexity through direct action. Because some missions are too important to fight alone. Because American personnel deserve support from every available resource, official or otherwise. And because Phoenix's capabilities combined with agency intelligence networks could save more lives than either could achieve independently. Victoria studied Morrison through electromagnetic imaging that revealed biological stress patterns, voice analysis that detected deception, behavioral assessment that evaluated trustworthiness. His biometric signature remained steady, someone who believed in what he was saying despite understanding its institutional implications. Falcon 7. What does coordination look like in practical terms? Morrison produced the encrypted communication device Park had provided, its specialized systems capable of accessing networks that existed beyond congressional oversight. Real-time intelligence sharing, tactical support for high-priority extractions, resource coordination for missions that serve mutual objectives. Victoria accepted the device, her suit's analysis systems immediately identifying its technical specifications and communication protocols. And if institutional priorities conflict with Phoenix objectives? Morrison smiled grimly. Then Phoenix continues operating according to her moral compass, just with better intelligence about situations requiring intervention. Victoria sealed the device within her suit's secure storage, understanding that she'd crossed another threshold in her evolution from institutional soldier to freelance justice. Falcon 7. Coordination is authorized on a mission-by-mission basis. Phoenix maintains operational independence and tactical authority. Understood, Phoenix. The agency appreciates any cooperation you're willing to provide. Victoria turned to leave, her form already beginning to blur into adaptive camouflage that would render her invisible within seconds. Falcon 7. Tell Jennifer Park that Phoenix operates according to a simple principle: American lives matter more than institutional convenience. When those priorities align, coordination serves mutual interests. She disappeared into mountain darkness, leaving Morrison alone with questions that would reshape his understanding of modern warfare. The encrypted communication device represented a bridge between institutional oversight and individual justice, a channel that could coordinate capabilities while preserving operational independence. The conversation was over, but the real mission was just beginning. Sterling received Victoria's mission report while standing in his Dubai office's observation deck, watching the city's skyline reflect sunset colors that painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson. The communication device Morrison had provided represented unprecedented access to CIA intelligence networks, but also unprecedented risk from institutional oversight. Victoria, establishing formal communication with agency assets changes our operational parameters, Sterling said through encrypted satellite channels. We're no longer operating in complete isolation. Victoria's voice carried the mechanical precision of someone speaking through Phoenix's communication systems. Marcus, isolation hasn't prevented congressional investigations or Pentagon curiosity. Coordination provides intelligence resources that make Phoenix operations more effective while maintaining tactical independence. Sterling walked to his secure terminal, accessing classified assessments that painted the Middle Eastern theater in stark detail. Victoria, how much do we trust Morrison's assurance that coordination won't become control? We trust verification rather than assurance. Phoenix maintains operational security while sharing intelligence that serves mutual objectives. If institutional priorities conflict with Phoenix objectives, coordination ends immediately. Sterling smiled grimly as he reviewed intelligence summaries that showed American personnel trapped in situations requiring Phoenix's unique capabilities. Victoria, we have 17 confirmed cases requiring intervention across 4 theaters. CIA intelligence networks could provide tactical information that significantly improves mission success rates. Then coordination serves Phoenix objectives, beginning operational integration in 24 hours. Sterling ended the encrypted communication and returned his attention to Dubai's sprawling cityscape, understanding that Phoenix had evolved beyond his original vision. 3 years ago, when he'd found Victoria broken and presumed dead in that Syrian hospital, he'd imagined creating a private military capability that could intervene in situations where official channels failed. Phoenix had become something far more complex, a strategic asset that operated according to moral principles rather than institutional guidelines. Someone who'd learned that serving justice sometimes required abandoning everything else, including the possibility of redemption. His secure terminal chimed with incoming intelligence from CIA networks, tactical assessments that painted crisis situations in detail that Sterling's private sources couldn't match. The coordination Morrison had proposed was already providing operational advantages that would enhance Phoenix's mission effectiveness. Dr. Chen entered Sterling's office carrying technical specifications for Phoenix Mark III, innovations that would expand Victoria's capabilities beyond anything currently deployed in special operations. Marcus, the new suit represents a complete departure from conventional enhancement technologies. We're talking about capabilities that redefine what's possible for individual operatives. Sterling studied the technical drawings, each specification representing engineering challenges that push technology beyond known limitations. Sarah, how long until Mark III is operational? 6 weeks for basic functionality, 3 months for full capability integration. The new systems will make Phoenix Mark II look primitive. Sterling nodded, understanding that Phoenix's evolution demanded technological advancement that exceeded anything institutional programs could develop. Sarah, Prioritize development timeline. Phoenix operations are expanding, and mission requirements exceed current capability limits. Chen gathered her technical specifications, her expression carrying professional excitement mixed with engineering anxiety. Marcus, Phoenix Mark III will make Victoria something unprecedented in military history. The question is whether she remains recognizably human after integration with systems this advanced. Sterling returned his attention to Dubai's evening skyline, watching lights emerge from buildings that housed secrets spanning the spectrum from commercial innovation to military revolution. Sarah, Victoria stopped being recognizably human 3 years ago in Syria, when she learned that institutions calculate acceptable losses instead of fighting for every life under their protection. Phoenix is what she chose to become when serving humanity required abandoning human limitations. Chen left Sterling alone with technical specifications and intelligence assessments, documents that painted Phoenix's next evolution in stark detail. Somewhere in the mountains of Pakistan, Victoria was already planning missions that would test her current capabilities while preparing for enhancements that would redefine individual warfare. The partnership with CIA intelligence networks represented another threshold crossed, another boundary abandoned in service of objectives that institutions considered impossible. Phoenix was becoming something that existed beyond oversight, beyond control, beyond any framework that politicians or bureaucrats could comprehend. Sterling's evening was interrupted by encrypted communications from Victoria, mission updates that confirmed what he'd suspected. Coordination with agency resources was already producing operational results that exceeded expectations. The war continued, fought by someone who'd learned that serving justice required constant evolution, beyond every limitation that circumstances imposed. 4 weeks after establishing coordination with CIA networks, Victoria crouched in Syrian rubble that had once been a residential neighborhood, studying thermal imaging that revealed 12 American hostages held in a basement facility surrounded by hostile forces. The Phoenix Mark III suit represented 6 months of technological evolution, compressed into 60 pounds of composite armor and integrated systems that redefined individual capability. Through CIA intelligence channels, she possessed tactical information that made this mission possible: guard rotations, facility layouts, prisoner locations, extraction routes. Morrison's coordination had proved its value by providing intelligence resources that significantly enhanced mission planning and execution probability. Her earpiece crackled with Morrison's voice from a coordination center in Baghdad. Phoenix, satellite surveillance confirms security pattern consistent with previous assessments. You have a 45-minute window between patrol cycles. Copy Falcon 7. Beginning infiltration in 60 seconds. Victoria activated Phoenix Mark III stealth systems, advanced technology that rendered her invisible to visual, thermal, and electromagnetic detection. The suit's integrated AI calculated optimal approach routes, while analyzing threat patterns that conventional planning couldn't process in real time. She moved through Syrian ruins with supernatural precision, the Mark III's enhanced servos allowing her to navigate obstacles that would challenge conventional special operations teams. Each step was calculated to avoid motion sensors, each pause timed to coincide with guard attention cycles, each movement coordinated with environmental factors that provided natural concealment. The facility materialized from urban destruction ahead, its concrete walls scarred by years of warfare, but structurally sound enough to contain hostages whose rescue had been deemed diplomatically impossible. Victoria's electromagnetic imaging revealed human heat signatures within the complex: 12 Americans in basement cells, approximately 20 guards distributed throughout multiple levels. Phoenix to Falcon 7, target acquired, initiating penetration sequence. Victoria's infiltration tools cut through reinforced concrete with molecular precision, creating openings barely large enough for her enhanced form, while maintaining structural integrity that prevented detection. The Mark III's sound-dampening systems eliminated every trace of mechanical noise, allowing her to move through enemy territory with complete stealth. Inside the facility, she encountered security measures that would have challenged conventional special operations: electronic surveillance, motion detectors, pressure-sensitive floors, thermal monitoring. The Mark III's countermeasure systems neutralized each obstacle while maintaining operational invisibility that kept her presence unknown to facility defenders. Victoria descended through the facility's levels with systematic precision, her suit's tactical analysis systems identifying optimal routes while calculating engagement probabilities for various threat scenarios. The basement cells were accessible only through corridors monitored by armed guards whose elimination would compromise stealth requirements. She deployed Phoenix Mark III's advanced capabilities: microscopic surveillance drones that mapped guard positions, electromagnetic disruption systems that disabled security equipment, sonic generators that induced unconsciousness without permanent injury. Each guard fell silently, their bodies positioned to suggest equipment malfunction rather than infiltration. The cell block emerged from the facility's depths like a concrete tomb, its reinforced doors secured by electronic locks that yielded to Victoria's advanced penetration systems. Behind the first door, she found CIA operative Sarah Mitchell, her condition suggesting interrogation techniques that diplomatic channels would protest but never prevent. "Ms. Mitchell, I'm here for extraction," Victoria whispered, her voice filtered through systems that made identification impossible. Mitchell stared at Phoenix's mechanical form with the disbelief of someone who'd abandoned hope of rescue. "Who are you?" "Phoenix, can you walk?" Mitchell nodded weakly, her professional training overriding questions about her rescuer's impossible appearance. Victoria moved systematically through the remaining cells, extracting 11 more hostages whose faces carried the weight of classified torture conducted beyond international oversight. Phoenix to Falcon 7, packages secured, beginning extraction in 2 minutes. Victoria guided her charges through corridors that had been cleared of obstacles, the Mark III's navigation systems calculating routes that avoided remaining security measures while maintaining extraction timeline. Behind them, unconscious guards would wake with no memory of the infiltration, their confusion attributed to equipment failure rather than superhuman intervention. At the facility's outer wall, Victoria activated emergency extraction protocols developed through CIA coordination. Helicopter support waited at predetermined coordinates, piloted by personnel who operated beyond congressional oversight. One by one, she transferred hostages to extraction vehicles that would carry them toward medical treatment and debriefing that would never appear in official records. Phoenix to Falcon 7, all packages extracted successfully. 0 casualties, 0 compromised intelligence. Morrison's voice carried professional satisfaction mixed with awe at Phoenix's capabilities. "Outstanding work, Phoenix. CIA medical team standing by for hostage processing." Victoria stood apart from the extraction site, her Mark III systems already analyzing operational lessons while calculating improvements for future missions. Coordination with agency resources had proved its value: intelligence networks that enhanced mission planning, logistical support that improved extraction efficiency, medical capabilities that ensured hostage welfare. Falcon 7, coordination protocols remain effective, Phoenix standing by for next mission assignment. Victoria disappeared into Syrian darkness, leaving behind 12 Americans whose rescue had been achieved through capabilities that existed beyond institutional oversight. The Mark III suit carried her toward whatever crisis required intervention next, its advanced systems ready to challenge the next impossible situation that politicians considered an acceptable loss. The war continued, but now Phoenix fought with intelligence resources that made the impossible merely improbable. Senator Catherine Walsh convened the Classified Oversight Committee in a secure hearing room that had witnessed too many conversations about operations that officially didn't exist. Around the table sat intelligence officials whose careers had been built on managing moral complexity that existed beyond public accountability. CIA Director Robert Chen shuffled classified documents that painted Phoenix operations in stark detail, each page representing tactical capabilities that challenged every framework congressional oversight had established. Senator Walsh, Phoenix has conducted 23 operations in the past 4 months, all involving American personnel in situations where conventional rescue was diplomatically or tactically impossible. Walsh leaned back in her chair, processing implications that would reshape her understanding of American capabilities. Director Chen, are you telling this committee that Phoenix is coordinating with CIA resources? Chen's expression carried the careful neutrality of someone navigating institutional politics while managing operational realities. Ma'am, Phoenix operations align with American interests while serving humanitarian objectives that complement agency missions. We've established limited communication channels that provide mutual intelligence benefits. Director Chen, is Phoenix under CIA control? No, ma'am. Phoenix maintains complete operational independence while sharing intelligence that serves mutual objectives. The relationship is coordination rather than oversight. Walsh opened a classified folder containing satellite imagery that showed Phoenix capabilities in devastating detail. Director Chen, our analysts suggest Phoenix operates using enhancement technologies that exceed anything in our official programs. How is this possible? Chen paused, understanding that his answer would define congressional perception of Phoenix operations. Ma'am, Phoenix appears to operate with industrial backing that provides access to experimental technologies developed beyond traditional defense programs. The capabilities being deployed suggest research and development resources that exceed most national programs. And we have no intelligence regarding funding sources or operational bases. Limited intelligence, ma'am. Phoenix operations appear to be funded through private sources that value results over accountability. The technological capabilities suggest access to research facilities and manufacturing resources that exist beyond traditional oversight. Walsh studied the satellite photographs, each image representing tactical achievements that made conventional special operations seem antiquated. Director Chen, does Phoenix represent a threat to American national security? Chen met her gaze with the steady confidence of someone who'd spent 30 years managing impossible situations. Ma'am, Phoenix has preserved approximately 600 American lives through unauthorized operations. From a tactical perspective, she represents the most effective individual asset we've encountered. From an oversight perspective, she represents capabilities that operate beyond any institutional framework we understand. What do you recommend? Ma'am, we continue coordination on a mission-by-mission basis, while attempting to develop better intelligence about Phoenix's capabilities and objectives. Eliminating Phoenix would remove someone who's saved more American lives than any official program, but allowing her to operate without any institutional awareness creates security risks we can't fully assess. Walsh closed the classified folder, her political instincts struggling with intelligence assessments that offered no clear policy guidance. Director Chen, what happens if Phoenix's objectives diverge from American interests? Ma'am, Phoenix appears to operate according to moral principles that prioritize human life over political considerations. As long as those principles align with saving American personnel, coordination serves mutual interests. If those priorities diverge, We'll evaluate our response based on circumstances we can't currently predict. Walsh dismissed the committee with the growing understanding that Phoenix represented something beyond congressional authority, a force that had evolved beyond institutional control, while serving objectives that politicians couldn't publicly acknowledge. In classified hearing rooms across Washington, similar conversations were taking place as intelligence officials struggled to categorize capabilities that didn't fit conventional frameworks.